A witness spotted a green Pinto with a damaged rear end fleeing the bank at approximately 6:20 a.m. this morning.
How you doing today, Richard?
Good, man. I'm good. Apologies if I got bad nights and all the rest. I'm in a hotel room in Pittsburgh, so doing some work. So.
You're all good. I'm in.
Make it look cool.
I'm in South Carolina, and the clouds keep blocking my light every 30 seconds. So I feel you there. I got to say though, I'm really excited to talk about The Last Stop in Yuma County. It is such an intense ride from start to finish. What about the project really spoke to you to want to be a part of it?
I get sent a lot of scripts, particularly genre films, and a lot of them just don't surprise me, or they leave me fairly uninspired. And then Francis, he's friends with a fellow named James Cleese, who produced the film and actually sold his house to make this film. And James, I knew James through some other things, and so James got Francis in touch with me because I guess he had me in mind for Bo, and sent me the script and a lovely letter. And I read it. I read the script, and I had that experience that I had when I read Barbarian, actually, another film I did a couple of years ago, where I just didn't know what was going to happen. I'm reading it, and I'm reading it like I'm reading a novel. I can't wait to get back and read the next page and the next page. I read it in one sitting, and I just thought, this is brilliant. This is a first-time feature film director, at least. And he's written this incredible script that's in one location. It's being made for, low budget, but I definitely wanted to do it. And then I spoke to Francis. We had a phone call. It was back before Zoom was a thing. So we're talking, literally, I think the month before COVID hit. I was in Detroit doing something, and I remember calling him. I spent most of my life in hotel rooms. I was in a hotel room in Detroit, and I spoke to Francis for a long time about film, about this film, and just thought, this guy knows his stuff. He knows his stuff, and I think this is going to be a good film. And what I love is that it is. You take those risks, and again with Barbarian the same. You just don't. You don't know. You read a script, it's great. You feel the director's great. You shoot it, you have an amazing experience. You think this is great, and then it comes out and it's maybe doesn't do very well, or it isn't quite as good as you think. And so it's wonderful when the opposite happens. When you read a script, it's fantastic. You think it's great director. You have a great time shooting it. It comes out. It gets 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, like this film did, and wins awards. Sitges, a big one. And it's been getting a great reaction. And the film itself, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm very, very proud to be a part of it.
Well, I love that you have so much passion for this movie, because that's exactly what it deserves. It deserves the 100%. It deserves the awards. And I love that you keep mentioning Barbarian, by the way. I adore that movie. And I was very happily surprised by it as well. Now, one thing I love about this character, very similar to Barbarian in a sense, is that he feels much more of a subdued villain than maybe some audiences are used to seeing you play, where you play very charismatic or very over the top type performances. What was it like finding the right rhythm and the right approach for this one in comparison to some of your prior roles?
Yeah, it's a good question. Over the top? What? No, I'm teasing. That was a big part of my discussions with Francis. I mean, initially, when I first spoke to him in Detroit and everything, we had felt the character was going to be very new to crime. Like, he had gotten into this kind of almost because he had to do one crime. He was a man out of his depth, and he wasn't going to be an experienced crook or anything like that. And then the more I looked at the script, the more I thought about it, worked on it, the more I realized, Nicholas Logan's strengths as an actor. He's brilliant, and strengths period. He's a great actor, but also the way he was kind of rewriting a lot of the, little bit of dialogue. And I got a sense that, his character was going to be the brilliant, crazy fucking guy that he is in it. I thought, I have to be actually terrifying, basically. Bo has to be terrifying for this to really kind of work. And so I had to call Francis about 2 weeks before production on Zoom call and tell him this. And I thought he might not like this news, and we'd planned this meeting, and he'd been rehearsing in LA. I was in Slovakia filming, once again in a hotel room. And and he wanted to speak. So we spoke, and we both said, I got something to tell you. And he said, so do I. Okay. So I said, let me go. Yeah, I went first, I think, and said that I think Bo's got to be terrifying. He's got to be professional, and he's got to be very, very calculated. He goes, so that's what I was going to tell you, because, in rehearsals, I realized that we were wrong with what we thought. And I was worried. He was worried I was going to not want to do it because I wanted to play a different, So at that moment, I knew we were going to be, well, it was amazing. We both had the same thing to tell each other in that meeting. And for me, I wanted him to be incredibly calm and just not like you said, some of the other wilder characters I played. Because Nick's character is, he's out there. So this man had to be you had to be terrified that he could do anything. And I was worried it would I was, worried that it would be so underplayed that no one would even notice the character was there. And I kept saying to Francis, tell me if it's too under, if it's not there. And he was like, I'll promise, I'll tell you. And I trusted him. I trusted him that it would work. And I didn't even believe it would work until I actually watched it. Finally got to see it. And I thought, yeah, I think it worked. I think it was okay.
I love that you got to have such a rewarding collaboration with Francis in that sense.
Really wonderful. To underplay to that degree, you really have to trust your director, because it can just vanish. It can just look like you're doing nothing whatsoever. And to really just trust that it's all there in the thinking, and that it will be picked up in the camera, and that he will use the shots that work. You just got to trust the director. You have no control, over that, other than just do the work and then just let it be there, and hopefully it works. And I think it did. So.
It definitely did. I was terrified of Bo throughout this entire movie. Now, one thing I find really cool about this movie for you too is that it reunites you with Jocelin Donahue, who you had worked with previously on Off Season, which I had really enjoyed as well when that was doing its festival run. What was it like reuniting with her and then having to play, such a calmly menacing figure as she's just trying to go about a normal day at the diner?
I love Jocelyn. I mean, we had a great time doing Off Season. Same DP, actually, the great Mac Fiskin. She's just a great actor and just a lovely human being, which, you need on independent films, because it's, you're together, all day. There's no, sit around in trailers or any of that stuff. I mean, you're just, you got to muck in, when you make a low budget indie. So everyone has to be cool, basically, and really get on. And Jocelyn is, she's just such a lovely person and such a great actor to work opposite. So it was good. I mean, that was another reason, because he definitely had Jocelyn in mind from day one. So Francis said that he wanted Jocelyn to be in it. He was hopeful she would when we first spoke. So knowing she was doing it, I knew that we were going to have I was going to have something great to work opposite. And it was, it was, and because it was tough. I had this, I think on one of my very first days, I had to, I don't want to give too much away, but I had to do some pretty nasty stuff to her. And she's just, just great to work opposite. Does, just gets in there and does it. There's no surprise that she works as much as she does, especially in independent film.
She is definitely a great indie person to go to. As are many people in this movie. Jim, Alex Esso, so many great people. So I love seeing everybody that was in this. Now, you mentioned your frequency in genre films, and I'm curious. Recently Brad Dourif announced that he was going to be retiring from live action work. You've sort of you have connections via Rob Zombie, let's say, together, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and you know what your own thoughts are, given you have such a great filmography and history in this industry already on your future.
I didn't know that about Brad. He I don't know if you know that my very first film was called Death Machine, which I shot in London in '94, I think, or '93, something like that. And Brad is the star of that. And so he was the first kind of well-known actor that I'd ever worked opposite. And we had quite a few scenes together, quite a bit of stuff. And it was an incredible experience to be opposite Brad Dourif. And, you know, it's 20-something years old in my first movie. And I learned a lot from him in that time. Incredible amount, actually, about professionalism, about the way he's focused. He was incredible work opposite. And then, of course, again, I didn't work with him on Rob stuff, but we met up again. I think we were shooting around the same time. So, and I see him occasionally at Comic-Cons and things, but yeah, he's just an incredible actor. So will be sadly missed in the genre films now that he's retiring. And I just love, I love doing lots of different work. I'm doing a TV series now in Pittsburgh and Mayor Kingstown. And, I love jumping. I love jumping around and doing many, many different kind of characters. I'll be British one time and Russian the next, and then, American somewhere else. And, I love the fact that I can play so many different roles. I think that's, the great thing about being a character actor. So, but genre films are, I just love them as a fan. So it's great that I get to do so many. May they continue.
May they continue. I would love to keep seeing it.
I've got 3 kids. I got to pay for them. So may they continue. I love it. I just love it. I love, genre films because people make genre films love those films. Working with Rob is, of course, my all-time favorite. I love working with Rob because he adores making the films he made. He's so much energy, so much passion for those films, for that genre that you can't help but just have a great time and also just creatively vibe off of that. And the same with Francis. He loves genre films. He loves all film, but it's the vibe you get from working with people like that. Usually for very little money. Do it for love. Totally.
Well, the love is felt. The passion in this movie is definitely felt, and I can't wait to just keep spreading the word about it. And I also wanted to say I've been a big fan of yours even since Doom. So to see you in everything you've done since has been awesome. And this has been a really honor to talk with you. So thank you, Richard, so much.
That was a pleasure. Thank you. It was fun.
Take care.
I guess we're stuck here till that truck arrives. Which means you two better pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you.